of the most important things that leaders do is to shape culture. In fact, that is how they lead. The main way leaders lead is by shaping culture. So, a leader's primary responsibility is to shape culture. And the reality is, leaders are always shaping culture, whether they realize it or not. They are constantly shaping a healthy culture or an unhealthy culture. Organizational cultures don't just happen, they are shaped. So let's now work on how to do this. How leaders shape culture. Whether they do it knowingly or unknowingly, leaders shape organizational culture in four main ways. Before we look at those four ways, please remember our previous work on building leaders. We saw that there are four dynamics of transformation: spiritual, relational, experiential, and instructional. Those four dynamics also work in shaping organizational culture, but we'll give them different names. Leaders shape organizational culture by their prayer, their lives, their work, and their words. First, leaders shape organizational culture by their prayer. Jesus and Paul constantly prayed for those they led. Look at Paul's words to the Galatians. "My little children, for whom I am again in the anguish of childbirth until Christ is formed in you." He's referring to his intercessory prayer for them. Significant change of organizational culture is birthed in prayer. Deep, sustained prayer. I love the words of A.J. Gordon. "You can do more than pray after you have prayed, but you cannot do more than pray until you have prayed." The leaders in the New Testament constantly prayed for the people they served. For example, look at what Paul spoke about Epaphras to the Colossians. He said, "Epaphras is one of you, a servant of Jesus, greets you, always struggling on your behalf in his prayers, that you may stand mature and fully assured in all the will of God." Effective Christian leaders cannot only be visionaries, team builders, or strategic thinkers. Leaders must be intercessors. Look at what James wrote. "The prayer of a righteous person has great power. Elijah was a man with a nature like ours. He prayed fervently that it might not rain, and for 3 years and 6 months it didn't rain on the earth. Then he prayed again, and the heaven gave rain, and the earth bore its fruit." And just as God did the impossible in response to Elijah's prayer, he also can work miracles in your organization if you ask him to. Now, this includes prayerful evaluation and prayerful strategic thinking. Before a leader can lead any process of change, he must first have a realistic understanding of the current reality. He must first prayerfully evaluate the situation and then ask God for his vision and clear strategy. Once again, we see the centrality of the Lord Jesus in every part of Christian leadership. Second, leaders shape organizational culture through their lives. Look at Paul's words in Philippians 3. "Brothers, join in imitating me, and keep your eyes on those who walk according to the example that you have in us." People listen to leaders, but they also carefully watch what they do. And when there is a conflict between these, they will believe the leader's actions before their words. People assume the behavior of leaders is what is actually important and will imitate that. How leaders behave is how their followers ultimately will tend to behave. This means that the leader himself is the vision statement. The leader's life is the values statement. The leader is the ongoing culture carrier, or the new example of what it should become. In other words, the church leader may say, "We value prayer," or "We have a vision to reach the lost," but if he himself doesn't pray or does not personally reach out to the unsaved, then what will happen in the church? The company policy of the nonprofit may require frugal spending. But if the leader is openly careless with money, well, how careful will everyone else be? The leader of the organization may tell everyone to be bold and courageously take risks, but if he never steps out and tries anything new, well, what will everyone else do? The official values statement may declare, "We value integrity." Sounds good, yeah? But if the leader is known to often compromise, what will be the culture of the organization? When Jesus shaped the organizational culture of his team, he lived with them. His disciples watched him. They knew him. Look at this in Mark 3. Jesus appointed 12, the apostles, so that they might be with him, and he would send them out to preach. Paul did the same when he shaped the culture of his team. Notice his words to Timothy. "You, however, have followed my teaching, my conduct, my aim in life, my faith, my patience, my love, my steadfastness, my persecutions and sufferings." So it's not sufficient for leaders simply to tell the people what to do. They must live it before them. In the next video, we'll look at the leader's work and words. But please recognize, dear friends, that leaders are constantly shaping culture, whether or not they realize it, through their own lives, in everything they do, in everything they say, in everything they allow. By the way leaders live, they are always nurturing a healthy culture or an unhealthy one.